So, in the most recent relationship that I tried pursuing, this guy kept telling me over and over again the quote, "I'm not him." That's the quote. And I could never quite understand, like, what do you, like, okay, I understand you're not him, I understand you're somebody totally different, and I understand I need to leave my past issues in the past, whatever, move on, someone else. I understood all that, but what I didn't understand was that later finding out I'm not him means I'm not him, I'm much worse. I've never felt more disrespected, sad, depressed, anxious, all that usual stuff, lied to, played, like everything, and that's what I've been dealing with for I don't know how long now. There was a guy that had been pursuing, this is bothering me so bad, don't look at it. There was a guy that had been pursuing me for I don't know how many years. Minimum of, looks like my eyelashes are falling. Try this again. So there had been a guy who had been trying to pursue me for I don't know how many years. It had to have been at least, well, it would have had been at least 8 years, I guess. Finally came around to the idea of it and everything, and I had even been going through like some of the hardest times of my life. I just watched my first burial at the cemetery of someone who I'd been relatively close to my whole life, and still, even after all of this is going on, I decided to face fears and go and talk to him and figure things out finally, because we had just been back and forth about it, and like we would try, and then like 2 days later I would freak out or whatever would happen. And this time I was like, alright, listen, my anxiety doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. It was like, either we're doing this or we're not. And he told me that he was absolutely sure that he wanted me, he wanted to be with me, to try to make it work, everything else. And we talked about like just everything, like anything that could possibly happen, all of it. So for the first time I was like actually being myself and everything around him, and I could actually see, like, I could see it going somewhere. So like, of course I felt like happier and just like happy when he would text me or call me or whatever. But that next day he decided to avoid me all day. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because like you just said we're together, like what are we doing? And he told me that he had to wait before from my last relationship, it sounds stupid, but it's an actually like a big deal for me for the whole Facebook relationship status thing, because it just feels shady when you won't do it. And he's like, well, I need to talk to my parents first, which, okay, I can understand that to an extent. It wasn't like it was announcing some engagement or anything like that, so I really don't understand all that. But so then I'm waiting days still. I'm the one who starts pursuing him, because it's like, okay, you've been trying for how long now? So like I finally give in, and like what you just wanted the chase to happen, or like it just made no sense. So after agreeing to everything and just completely like deciding, okay, I'm gonna try this, commit to one guy, be loyal, everything, then while I'm still in this pending stage of whether or not we're even gonna be in the relationship, I get a text from my ex and I respond to it, and it was seriously about a beard. And this guy just goes completely off on me, screaming at me. I mean, I have texts of the audio text where he was absolutely screaming at me and cussing me out and everything. And here's me realizing, like, last night I was the one who was trying to calm him down. I was the one who was trying to like get him to talk to me and like say like what was actually going on in his mind and everything, try to figure it out, and he wouldn't. So finally, I just kept calling until he would answer to figure it out or whatever. And before we could figure anything out, apparently his mom showed up to make sure that he was okay. Which, okay, I was even grateful for that, and I even said, like, please tell her I said thank you, because she could get there quicker than I could, because he was, like, really mad and upset, and I didn't want him to be alone, obviously, going through whatever he was feeling. And I just kept sending a million texts, like, please just let me know when you're okay, like, are you okay, whatever, and he wouldn't. So then, today, I sent, like, the billionth text. I don't even like double texting, but this was seriously like the billionth text, and I'm like, listen, you couldn't, like, after everything we've been through, after years of pursuing and everything, like, you really couldn't even just tell me, like, even that you were okay. You couldn't just say goodbye to me, like, nothing. Like, I was completely led on. I was completely played. And he keeps acting like he's the victim. And he keeps saying that I'm acting like what I did wasn't wrong. I admitted to my mistake of texting my ex. I shouldn't have done that. But, I mean, something as simple as that. It was a text about a beard. That was literally it. And he decided to go off, and he even went off again when I said it again today. Like, you couldn't have even just let me know that you were okay. You couldn't have even said goodbye, nothing. And I'll give you his response, actually, of what he said. I will. He said, really? I told you how... Never mind, I don't want to say these words. Basically how mad he was. You think you would respect that and let me think, but no, you're gonna act like you weren't in the wrong. And I explained that, like, no, I was respecting his space. Like, I seriously was just trying to make sure that he was okay and everything, and I said, like, okay, I'll move on. But I just didn't understand, like, why I couldn't even get a goodbye or anything after all these years and everything. So, that's the situation I've been in. It's worse, but that's just all that I'm gonna share with the camera here about that. So, I've been upset. I've been crying for days, sleeping through days and nights and everything. And that was before all this. That was just while I was waiting for an answer, like, okay, are we doing this or are we not? Because, like, when I left, he told me one thing, and just, I got played worse than I've ever gotten played before. Yeah, I've been in hurtful situations and toxic situations, but I have never been played to this extent, like, and then to turn around and act like he's a victim, like, I am just... So then there's me, like, I find all these relatable quotes and then I post them, and I'm like, I hate when I do that, but it's like when something's relatable, I share it because it's like, oh, somebody else is going through it. So I don't know if anybody's gone through anything similar to this, but I mean, I'm sure you have, of just being completely played, completely blindsided. It's been nothing but excuses and lies. And then it started as him pursuing me for years, and then when I finally gave in, that's when my dog's you alright? He was coughing a little bit. Also, like, all these shadows on there are making me nervous. I gotta put something there after this video. Hopefully they're not too obvious, all those shadows. But anyway, I forget what I was saying now. Great. But just, oh yeah, that it had been years, literally years of trying to pursue me, and then he finally got me, and it was like, he just wanted the chase. Like, then once the chase was over, that was it. That was it. Then he wanted nothing to do with me because he finally had me. Like, I was finally myself around someone. That was a huge thing. I was facing so many fears around him, and at one point even, like, I was afraid to get sick, which I have emetophobia, super irrational fear of throwing up. And I was about to just leave, and He lives like over 20 minutes away, so I was freaking out about the ride home and everything. And he did. He helped me calm down. Like, he knew what to say. He knew how to act and everything. Everything seemed probably a little bit too good to be true, but I was still like, it was like we wanted the same things, and I just allowed myself to be blindsided. So I've been completely beating myself up over this, completely just, and it's like I can't focus on anything else now. It's just like, that's all I keep thinking about is like, why would I let myself even be in this situation in the first place? I mean, it's not like I can do a complete background check on people and see how they are and who they really are, because all I've ever seen was he's always been there for me no matter what. Like, if I had an issue even with my ex and everything, like, no matter what, day, night, whatever, he'd come and be there for me. He'd drop whatever he was doing and he would be there for me. That's how I saw him. But I will say, he used that against me a lot too, though, by saying, like, you know, I've always been there for you, so that should have been a huge red flag. And it was a little bit, but I let it go. Because it's true, some people are like that. Like, I'm like that. If you need something, if you need someone to talk to, whatever, like, I'd be there. So naturally, I believed that he was the same way, and I got played. So I've sent like a million texts again, and I even said, like, I won't bother you again, like. And then on Snapchat I sent like a selfie thing, and I said, like, you're gonna have to be the one that blocks me on all the social media and block my number, because I feel like I can't do it. Everything, like, I'm in disbelief still about everything that he even did. I don't know how people can be that completely fake and just, like, knowing everything he said was fake, because I refuse to believe that he went off this bad and has ignored me this long and avoided me because of a text about a beard, regardless of who it was. So that's my story of what's been going on, the basics of it. Because I texted an ex about a beard. So yeah, I texted him again today. Why not? You know what else? I was always in that pending stage. I was never given the official title, none of that. So why can't I talk to who I want to talk to? I explained and reassured him I was over the ex, didn't want the ex, I was ready to pursue a new relationship. Like, I did all of that. But yet a text about a beard is supposedly what just... So, as it all comes back around to the anxiety and depression, of course, it's so hard to accept, especially when, like him, he wants to keep saying that I'm acting like I did nothing wrong and I'm acting like I'm the victim. I am. I take responsibility for my actions, but at the end of the day, at the end of all of this, ultimately, he played me more than anyone has ever played me. I opened up, I was myself. It was huge steps, and he knew that, and he even acknowledged it and told me that. He even told me how proud of me he was for doing so, and yet he turns around and does this. And like I said, I'm not one to even double text, but I have sent like a million texts. I just get ignored, left on read. I send a Snapchat telling him he needs to be the one that blocks me on social media, because I don't feel like I'm ready to do that. But I don't need him on there. Left it unopened. So it's just crazy to me. So the depression I've been feeling over and questioning my worth all over again. This was a guy who told me that I needed to discover my own self-worth, and that I needed to see myself the way that he supposedly did. And I finally came around to seeing that, and like, okay, I am worth something. Like, I do have self-worth, and I came around to that. I understood that. And it was like, it just all got taken away from me, like, all over again. So it was just right back to where I started. So that's the worst part of it. Now I just feel completely depressed and lost and everything, because now it's like, okay, well, you can't trust anyone, obviously. I just don't even know. I've been checking my phone constantly for days. Nothing. But I'm coming back around now to realize, yes, I do have self-worth. It's just hard now because I don't know who to open up to, who to be myself around, and who to trust, because I've never done that before, and when I finally did, I got played worse than I've ever been played and treated. And just, I don't know. I guess this is just one of those rant videos, event video, whatever you want to call it. I'm still working on it to figure out advice for it, because it's hard to go through that and actually finally accept that the guy was chasing me. Finally accepting the whole situation, like actually being able to see it play out, facing my fears, being myself, being vulnerable, being open, being honest, all of that, just to get to this point of just being ignored and acting like I don't even exist. And what that does to the anxiety and depression, it does make me question all over again, like my existence, my worth, all of that. And I have seriously just, I started a video earlier and I just kept crying, like I've been crying forever about this. And to know that that guy is out there just not even caring at all, just doing his own thing, like, just, I don't know how people can possibly be so heartless. And to play the victim, I just, literally all I did was send a text about a beard, and I was single. He hadn't made a decision about me at that point. Even though he did, while I saw him, supposedly that changed, and he told me, you knew when you left that I didn't know until I talked to my parents. Okay, for what? We're like, I'm just... So anyway, this was my little rant and vent. So, thanks for listening if you did. And I'm sorry if you got played, or you're getting played, or getting ignored, or whatever. The most important thing is to remember that it doesn't affect your self-worth and who you are as a person. It's them. It is so them. It is all them. And he already knows what I said about karma. It's true. Karma will catch up with him. I already know it will. So I'm trying not to stress it too much and just let karma do its thing. If you couldn't see what was in front of you, then that's on you. But to ignore everything that I've been trying to reach out just to make sure that you're okay even after you played me and then you play a victim,